What's the best example of women not understanding a man's body that you've ever heard? That we need to reload between rounds. It shrinks. I was in the pool. Sometimes it simply just won't get up and it's not you. I feel like this needs to be talked about more. I had a partner that this would happen to sometimes and he would feel so embarrassed and ashamed of himself. I would tell him I wasn't upset and it's just something biological or unconsciously something psychological. I really feel bad for men in this department because from what I've heard, there's more women that I thought that shamed men for this. I once worked with a girl who believed all the sperm that made daughters lived in one nut and all the sperm that made sons lived in the other nut, and that since my BIL lost a nut he could only have all boy children or all girl children, depending on which nut he lost. When I asked to my other coworker for support, she shrugged and she wasn't sure. Look it up. One time my cousin and her friends had to use the bathroom for men since the female bathroom was undergoing repairs due to a busted pipe. One of her friends washed their hands in the urinal since she thought it was a fancy sink. I've met multiple women in my adulthood that didn't realize men could sit to pee. Like they literally thought if you had to do both you'd stand there to pee, flush then sit and poop. Do other guys poop without peeing? I have to pee every time. I've never just pooped. Every poo-poo time is also pee-pee time, but not every pee-pee time is poo-poo time. I feel like the absolute best example is anytime a woman hits a man thinking they're made of steel or something. Men are people too. We bruise just the same. Don't hit us, alright? One friend thought the line, masturbation leads to blindness, was because it squirts in your eyes. From the way she phrased it and the palpable curiosity, I think she imagined it to be an out-of-control sprinkler. My girlfriend's female friend was amazed to hear that a man doesn't have to masturbate every day. She genuinely thought that a man cannot hold semen in for more than 4 days. She is 33 and had 3 long-term relationships. Just because I have an erection in the morning, doesn't mean I'm wanting morning sex. I just have to pee. In high school, I knew a girl who thought cum came out the whole time a guy had sex. Not pre-cum, but like a steady faucet. Every girl who treats my balls like a speed bag or produce their checking for ripeness at the market while messing around. I had an ex who thought men are always horny and didn't bother to try arousing me. She would also cry when I was not in the mood. It didn't last long. Way too many women I've dated thought that men can just get an erection on command. That's not how it works, bro, and they don't understand. My girl wanted to watch me pee just to entertain herself. Apparently it's her first time to see a man take a piss. When I was done, I shaked it. Her eyes went wide and her jaw dropped. She asked, "Why are you doing that? Isn't that painful?" I laughed and did it again. She screamed, "Stop!" I was told to just let a little come out now and then the rest later. I didn't know where to begin telling her it's not a negotiation. Oh, I remember this one. I used to work at this store and this guy came in asking for tampons for men. He came in and he was walking. Not normally. Like he had just gotten kicked in the nuts or just had a vasectomy. If you know the walk, you know the walk. He was a regular. Nice guy. Knew him for years. He was really embarrassed by it. His girlfriend was waiting in the car. I asked him to clarify. He said tampons for men. See, his junk had started bleeding and he freaked out. Told his girlfriend. She told him it happened to everyone. She got hers when she was a teen and she was surprised it took him this long to get it. She told him everyone is shocked when it happens for the first time. Confused? So was I. I told the guy that men didn't get periods. We're not supposed to bleed down there. He told me his girlfriend told him it was normal, that he should get a tampon and shove it up there. I told him it wasn't. Again, men don't get periods. It isn't normal, and if your DK is bleeding then you need to get to the hospital. He got confused and penguined back to his car. I saved that man from a fate worse than death. Worked with a woman who got impregnated and she was shocked because she thought she couldn't get knocked up by the guy because he was 35. An erection is not consent. When I was younger, like a kid, I always thought that PNS were like magnets to vaginas. I had only ever seen sexy moments on TV and movies, and it always seemed like they got a hard-on when a woman was sitting in their lap, so I thought it was like magnetized to it. I still cringe to this day. Death grip handjobs. Please don't squeeze the life out of it, it doesn't feel good. Pick up a can of soda. That's about as hard as you need to grip it. My sister couldn't grasp how sometime my balls stick to my thigh. So, I'm female but would like to supply an answer. Balls hang at different lengths and have different sizes, just like boobs. And just like women with big boobs accidentally squishing them under their arm, men with low hangers can accidentally sit on their balls. My ATT boyfriend did it once and was pissed that I laughed at his reaction because I didn't believe it was possible. Vasectomies aren't always reversible. At least not with modern medicine. Erections and arousal are not the same. They usually overlap, but arousal without an erection, and an erection without arousal both happen. One girl thought I could make it bigger with water, because apparently it's a big sponge that soaks up water, so just add more. My wife thought the amount of load men ejaculate was linked to how horny they are. Generally, just that male sexual pleasure is far more individualized and nuanced than it seems like most women think. From physical arousal, to stimulation, sensation, and turn-ons, each guy is different, just like women are, and that it's nice when a woman appreciates that and takes some time to explore what their guy enjoys. Having to tell my girlfriend that it wasn't just 'cause I was excited to see her every morning when I woke up. She thinks you being hard is like a dog wagging their tail. My wife was surprised when I wasn't already hard one time when we were getting intimate and didn't really know what to do. I had to explain to her that foreplay works two ways and that a lack of wood doesn't mean I don't want sex. Sucking hard is not a way to make a man come faster. I am the example. I volunteer as flogging material. So I was raised in a pretty religiously strict home. That about covers the context. Edit. Apparently this means something different than what I thought it meant. So read. I volunteer for the dunce cap, haha. In 10th grade health class we were given a homework packet to work on over the next week. On the next chapter we'd be going over the reproductive system. On my way out of class I, laughingly, rolled it up and sat it in the trash can and told my friend, when I have to know about this sort of thing, I'll look it up. She kinda hinted at the fact that I'd get a 0 on the homework, but my response for that was, it's just 1 0. I don't need to know about the sex parts of the body because I don't plan on having sex. Not nutting is very hard, so sorry if I don't last 20 minutes. In high school a teacher told me men couldn't be raped. I disagreed and asked where her logic came from. She said, it's biology. I argued no further and left, realizing was being taught by a bunch of effing idiots. Women thinking men are gay for prostate stimulation. Was asked by a former girlfriend why I was not as large as other black men she had met and I had wide feet. Genetics? I met a girl once who actually thought pee was stored in the balls. She thought because it was such a massive meme at the time that it must have been true. In high school I knew a girl who, though guys jizzed every time they got a boner, she thought all those 16-year-olds getting a random boner in social studies was coming in his drawers. First time a woman handled my junk, I had to contain myself from laughing. Not even sure how to describe it. Squeezing might be the best approximation. Like reverse milking a cow. I'll get buried, but a girl I went to high school with was convinced black men's semen would look like chocolate milk. Pee is stored in the balls. Pee is stored in the balls. Sometimes we feel small even though we look big. In high school a girl I knew thought cum came out of the skin pores and that the hole was just for pee. Women who think men are always horny when they have a boner. Nah, we often get boners when we aren't horny at all and sometimes are horny without a boner. I've got one. There was this time I was telling my friend and his girlfriend about how got raped by a girl in my sleep after a party in college. Basically I woke up with her on top of me, pushed her off when I realized what was happening and went home. His girlfriend said that if I didn't want it to happen, then why didn't I just make it soft, or I shouldn't have made it hard to begin with. After we explained to her that it will randomly get hard at times throughout the night, she just sat there thinking for a bit. It was like her entire view of my friend had changed in an instant. I've had to explain to too many women that men experience fluctuations in hormones too. Thinking that guys don't need foreplay too. It's really hard for me to get into it when I feel it's a one-way street, despite her wanting sex in the first place. No matter how attractive they are or how much we love them, it seems a lot of women correlate us not getting hard to them doing something wrong 95% or the time. It's something like mental health struggles, stress, physical pain, the medication we're on, etc. It doesn't have a magic on-off switch. There's a lot of factors that can shut us down from time to time. You're still hot. We still love you. Slapping the ballsack around Looney Tunes style and saying you like that, while you try not to cry. Getting hit in the jewels means the rest of the day is over. I'm not gay, the prostate just brings magic pleasures. To be fair, I think a lot of straight guys don't even know this. In a sex ed workshop we did, a girl was under the belief that if a guy got hard, he had to come or he'd get blue balls and be in pain. The class laughed, but in retrospect, I've thought back and worried she was taken advantage of. So not the best example in the sense it was good or fun, but definitely stood out to me. I dated a woman once who was giving me a handy, and pumped some lotion in her hand to assist. She managed to get a couple of strokes in before it started burning like a California forest fire. I freaked out, bolted out of her room, naked, almost knocking over her surprised AF roommate on my way straight into the shared bathroom. After a very short, panic-stricken attempt to clean it off with TP failed, I ultimately jumped into the shower and washed it repeatedly until my home alone moment passed. Seems she didn't realize hand sanitizer's very last possible use should be on a man's junk. Control yourself in response to someone getting an erection. It's like saying, hold it in for a period. Being offered a hand job for the lady in question to the jackhammer it like she's angry at it. My ex thought black people's sperm was also black. When she would go to school and saw a lot of old gum on the ground that was now black from being dirty, she thought a black person had sex in that area of the school. She was truly stupid. A girl I was with was baffled at the fact that guys in fact do not want to have sex and are ready to go all the time. I mean, it was quite possible to convince me, don't get me wrong. But also, I could be tired or just not in the mood at all. The fact that you cannot control when and how you get hard about 97% of the time. An ex got mad at me because I became hard during a movie and I had to explain that it wasn't because I thought Tina Fey was hotter than her, but because my body just decided it was time to make my jeans uncomfortable to wear. When we pee, urine doesn't always comes out in a single stream. An ex-girlfriend of mine once commented while watching me take care of my morning liquid evacuation that it was fascinating how men can stand to do such and why it was so darn hard to get every drop into the bowl. I later convinced her to stand behind me and do the aiming for me. The giggles took hold, and random spraying ensued. Once things really started moving, she screamed and shouted, "OMG. You can feel it moving through." It was hilarious, and much time was spent cleaning the bathroom. My husband went into the ER with extreme testicle pain and a past history of testicular torsion. The female nurse asked him what his pain level was. He said 10, and she told him there's no way it was a 10, especially since he was walking and able to talk to her. The testicular surgeon said my husband almost lost his testicle, and was wondering how he was even able to walk in the face of how badly twisted it was. Old friend was confused how skinny jeans didn't hurt balls. Men's skinny jeans have a bit more room too. Unless it's tighter than skin tight or heavy force, they don't hurt, just like camel toes or moose knuckles don't hurt. Technically still my body, but I feel like a lot of women I meet really misunderstand how fragile and worn my mentality is. I break and cry a lot and I have almost no self-esteem. But every day I try my best to keep up a false happiness and make goofy dad jokes so that at the least, everyone else around me can smile. LT gets really hard to keep it up sometimes, and the amount of times LVE heard why is he crying in public or a sarcastic what a man, it doesn't help I'm an Asian American in America during these times either. It really hurts sometimes. Foreskins. Grew up in the US, and met a lot of women who claim they won't be with an uncut man because they were dirty. I'd laugh about it as I was showering the next morning. Like a lot of things, it's dependent on the person. Most women assume I'm cut, I'm not. LVE got all the bits down there I was born with. These comments 100% affirm my belief that sexual education needs to happen earlier and needs to be far more comprehensive. My wife trying to give me a handy. I appreciate the attention and attempt, but only I am the handmaster to my own DNA shotgun. A girl in my school was baffled when poking me in the groin with a pencil didn't leave me rolling around in agony, as if it were a magic incapacitation button. One of my exes got it in her head from Cosmopolitan magazine that if she squeezed my balls I'd make a funny noise. The noise I made was, I think I'm gonna go home. A coworker of mine was super disappointed that her partner didn't have an erection all the time, that he thought she was attractive. Apparently she went to the bathroom and to get a drink and he wasn't hard when she came back. She was sad that she had to break up with him because he's lying to her about finding her attractive. I'd be in real trouble if I had an erection every time I found someone attractive. I'd also be 11. I've got a cousin who lost one of his balls. One day over the years the conversation came up around my grandma and she says, it's a shame. He'll only ever be able to have boys or girls, but not both once he has kids. The whole room went dead quiet until someone was like, "Excuse me," she says, "because he only has one. He can only either have boys or girls." I don't know how long she believed this or even if we truly convinced her otherwise, but she was absolutely sure that one ball made boys, one made girls, and that was just how it all worked, and to this day that conversation stands out so vividly. Elle once heard a girl asking boys if they roll up their dong when they sit down to take a poo. "No, I just hang it over the edge and onto the floor." At the age of 25 I had a one-night stand, and after I came she asked why it became flaccid again and thought didn't want any more sex. I'm not sure what kind of power machine her ex was, but she thought that a man was always erect when he was aroused, even after ejaculation. The number of women who think that after I got a vasectomy meant I no longer had balls was very surprising. Thinking that erections are 100% controllable/voluntary. That different men have different refractory periods, time required to recover between orgasms. Some men require mere moments, others require several hours, but this young lady at a work event was convinced that if you couldn't get hard again within minutes you obviously weren't that into it. Another one I overheard in high school was, if he comes a lot that means he really enjoyed it. While this could be true, it is not a guarantee by any margin. I had to enlighten a female coworker once after she made a comment about guys not being able to pee unless we are hard. She was 35 at the time. I've always been gentle with every girl I was foreplaying with, unless I was asked to do other stuff, you know, the usual meme stuff that their clit ain't a button and so on. One day though I found a girl that wasn't aware that the thing I had between my legs was not a joystick of an arcade game. It hurt so bad I couldn't touch it with a bit of force for a couple of days. It really got me thinking, though. Had something hilarious happen with an ex-girlfriend. We were out for a birthday party and both of us got absolutely hammered. Come about 4 a.m. I get up to go to the toilet and my drunk self decides that the nearby bin in my room is the toilet. Girlfriend sees that I'm peeing everywhere, so she gets up and helps me aim into the bin. Now here comes the strange part. While she's aiming she starts jerking my DK like it's a hand job. I hazily begin to remember this the next morning and we start talking about it with a laugh. Then I asked her why did she start jerking it. She said, "I thought you had to do a jerking motion to make the pee come out." Cue about an hour of me laugh crying about it. Your girlfriend milked you. Men do not need to be aroused to get a boner. Morning wood and random salutes can happen regularly, and can be embarrassing for some guys. The worst can be the half-arsed, "Just letting you know, I'm ready when you are" chief semi-boner that isn't enough to tuck into the waistband, so you end up trying to reposition via the pocket, but then realize you look like you're either looking for lost gold in the depths of your cockies, or playing with yourself, leaving you to walk away, in excruciating embarrassment, silently cursing Dinkle and his half-salute. It's hard to describe men and their relationship to testicular pain. It's very real, but they also joke about it, laugh about it, and fake/exaggerate it a lot. Any hit near the crotch, oh no. Best way to describe the pain to a woman is, it's like hitting your funny bone in your elbow. You smack your arm right and your whole arm is numb with pain and you can't really use it at all, for anything. And for some reason, even though it hurts like AB, you somehow elicit a giggle or joke about it. The testicles have the same kind of instant reaction, but the pain envelops your crotch, your abdomen, stomach, can affect your breathing, and essentially stuns your entire lower body, not just the arm like a funny bone does. That, and the pain can be much, much worse. There is a lot of leg, thigh, pelvis, limb, buttocks, and other body parts that shield the testicles from impact. More than men, particularly young boys, like to admit, making any contact below the belly button is an opportunity for theatrics. But when it hits just right, your whole existence is F-ed for days or weeks to come.